This is an arrowroot of about 500 grams. An arrowroot has got very good starches. They have got complex starches, and when it cooks, it can give you a very good colloidal soup. It forms a colloid when the starch boils in water. It forms a colloid, just almost like a porridge. That is what you call porridge, but in chemistry we would call it a colloid. And the starch of the arrowroot, we say it is complex. That's why it forms a colloid. Now I'm going to use this half kg arrowroot to make some soup. So although my soup is an arrowroot soup, the arrowroot soup is the real foundation ingredient. Like I say, that when you think of what you want to cook, we think of the carbohydrates first. So the carbohydrates here are the green bananas, and also the arrowroots, but they are going to be enriched with all these beautiful vegetables. All these beautiful vegetables we are going to enrich in my soup. So you can call it a vegetable enriched arrowroot soup. Here we have garlic. We have about 5 cloves of garlic. Here we have dhania or coriander, chopped coriander. Here we have got a portion of the onions, which we are going to fry with oil. Here is the green bananas. And we have another set of onions there, which I want to add far much later when my soup is already almost cooked, because I like to preserve the nutrients and the nice flavors of the onions in my cooking. Here we have a mixture of green and red capsicum. Capsicum is very good because of those red carotenoids, and also vitamin C and other minerals. Here we have got our good old carrots. Carrots are good for carotenoids. They are also good for fiber. Those are my 4 tomatoes rich in lycopene and all other beautiful vitamins and minerals from the vegetables. That is now my washed up or cubed arrowroots. And here we have our rich yellow product from the soft of the pumpkin plus the pumpkin seeds. There we have our lentils, and here we also have the yellow is curry powder. Curry powder is a mixture of many spices. We have some white salt there, and about a teaspoon of black pepper. So the whole of the soup making process is going to involve the breading of all these beautiful food products. I've put my oil already in this stainless steel pot. It is already hot, and I'll add my onion for frying. We have been advised greatly, from research we have been advised greatly against allowing our foods to burn. And even when we are frying our onion, you must ensure that the onion does not burn. It does not, one should not cook with a blackened or deeply browned onion. The onion right now is simmering nicely with oil and transferring its flavors into the oil. The oils become very hot. When the oil is boiling, it means that it is at a very high temperature. It is at a temperature higher than 100 degrees centigrade. And so what happens to the onions is that they get so cooked up when we start frying our food with the onions, and then by the end of the day you have lost all your onions and you have lost the beautiful strong flavors. But anyway, you always use onions so that you can try and create some flavors into our food. The first food item I'm going to add here is the tomatoes. I'm going to add the tomatoes because I want the tomatoes to cook completely and break down. And when the tomatoes have broken down, when they have cooked completely and broken down, we will be able to add the arrowroot. The arrowroot. You can allow it to wait until it is broken down. One can also add your roots so that they can cook together with the arrowroot, with the tomatoes, because the tomatoes will obviously cook faster. They'll cook faster before your roots. The tomatoes will break into sauce because you want the tomatoes to enrich with the color and with the flavors of tomatoes to enrich our soup. And again, lycopene is best available or best usable when it is cooked. The tomatoes are cooking nicely. They are simmering and cooking nicely. You can see they are breaking down. I'm going to add the danias, the garlic at this point, and the dania I'm also going to add it at this point so that it can deliver its flavors nicely. It can deliver its flavors nicely. The coriander and the garlic will now heat together with the tomatoes. They'll simmer together, and so that we can blend the flavors. We can blend the flavors of these wonderful vegetables and herbs together. Our vegetables continue to simmer, and the tomatoes are now almost halfway broken. And at this point, we can now add our arrowroots. The arrowroots are usually hard to cook, and they may take quite a while. They may take quite a while to cook and soften. That's why I need to put the arrowroots cubes at this point. I'll add my curry powder and black pepper and the salt at this time. I will also add the green bananas. You can see the green bananas are small cubes because I want them to break down. I also want them to break down to enrich my colloidal soup. You allow the arrowroots to cook together with the vegetables for a while, for about 30 minutes or so that they will have softened. By the time we are adding the other ingredients and the water, the arrowroots will have really moved quite a space on the way to completed cooking. While the roots are big, what will happen when the roots are such medium-sized cubes? When they boil in the water, they will produce the colloid. They will produce the colloid. Part of the roots will produce the colloid, but not all of it will break down. If it is a firm, heavy, firm arrowroot, it will not cook so quickly, but it will release its colloidal starches. Slowly by slowly, it will cook inside well, but it will not break down completely. So even when the soup is ready, you still have your cubes starting partly. Because of the sticky starches of the arrowroot, they tend to get sticky fast. They tend to stick a little bit on the sufuria, on the bottom of the sufuria when it is heating. And so it is good to just allow it to steam a bit with the vegetables, but if the sticking becomes too unbearable, one can always do this pre-cooking process by adding some little water. Just add some little water to facilitate the cubes to stay quite loose. The mixture is looking quite beautiful, and the mixtures are very, very nice looking, very appetizing. And I trust that our soup will also be as delicious as it looks. Yeah, our roots are getting quite sticky, and it's a good opportunity to add some little water. I've just added a little water, like 100 milliliters or quarter of a cup, and if you can see closely, you'll see that our mixture is becoming quite colloidal. Our soup contents are now almost sticking together because of I'm adding a little bit more to facilitate the movement and the flow of heat to my roots. This root was particularly a hard root. I have learned to be able to select the best root. It is important to weight it, put it on your hand and weight it. Feel how heavy it is. If you have a big root and when you feed it, you feel that it is too light, it means that root will not make you happy. It will be too watery inside and it may not cook, or when you cook, it might just break down. But if you weight your root and you find that the root is heavy, it is weighty, then that is a good root. At times it's even better to buy a root that is big but heavy, because you'll not be disappointed. You'll not be disappointed with such a root. My soup is, foundations are coming up very well, very, very well. I actually love what I'm seeing, and the smell and the flavors and the nice herbs coming out. They are so, the promises of a delicious soup. I'm going to add my carrots at this particular point because my roots have been barely heated up. I don't want my carrots to break down, but again, I don't want them to be uncooked. I want them to be cooked, but not broken down. So at this particular point now, it's a good point to add the carrots. It's a good point to add the carrot. You allow them to simmer a bit, and then we add the last portions of our ingredients. We are progressing well. Our soup is looking so nice. It looks so colorful. We have got such wonderful scent coming out of the flavors of the food, blending together. At this point, I want to add my pumpkin extract. My pumpkin extract was fridge preserved, and so I had to boil it, so it is hot. Hot and steaming. We are also going to add the last, a few of the vegetables that are remaining. We said, the last batch of onions. We add the last batch of onion for the purpose of flavors. We add the capsicums at this particular point. Although we don't want them to be too cooked, to be finished and broken down completely, we want them to be available to provide the flavors and to be available starting as vegetables. We allow them to simmer at this point. Before we add the last item is the lentils. The last item is the lentils, and then we add the water. You see, our soup is coming very well. But you realize, because as we continue boiling, as the roots, the starches of the roots continue boiling, the soup becomes thicker and thicker as starches are released, and the colloid becomes thicker and thicker. And actually with it comes the real flavors of the roots. The flavors of the green bananas, the flavors of the root content is very much detected when it is in the form of semi-liquid, semi-solid, when it is in a form of a colloid. So the root itself forms a very flavorful soup or colloid, and it is greatly enhanced by other ingredients. So our roots are almost cooking. At this point, we are going to add the water. We are going to add more water so that again we can add the lentils. We don't want the lentil mashed up. We don't want the lentils mashed up and broken. We want the lentils loose and free, not stuck to each other, not stuck to the food in this soup. This is my pre-boiled but preheated water. That water at least loosens the ingredients. The capsicums are cooked well with the rest of the food items to blend the flavors together. You can see our soup is coming out so beautiful and so flavorful, so beautiful and so flavorful. At this point, I'm going to add my bowl of nutrients, which fully enriches my food. so that it becomes a full, nutritious, rich food. This kind of a meal is so wonderful for breakfast. This kind of soup can be made in the previous night and can be warmed in the morning, especially for the children. They can take this kind of soup before they go to school, and every member of the family will be very much supplied with nutrients with this kind of meal. I love my soups, especially in the morning, because I don't want to feel so full and tight for breakfast. I can't tolerate breads, and I can't tolerate the milks with cereals, and so this kind of soup sits in my stomach in a very gentle, very comfortable way, but provides all the nutrients that I require for the first part of the day. Now most of my cubes are almost are well cooked. They are well cooked and they are soft now. And what you can say is that our soup is ready. You can see that the roots have been left standing. They have been left standing. They have not been broken completely, but they have provided heavy colloids. They have provided heavy colloids, which provides a thick soup that is very good for breakfast. If a child takes a bowl of soup, an elderly person takes a good bowl of soup in the morning with some fruits, he can add some slices of wholemeal bread. This one will be good breakfast, and one will stay up to lunchtime without craving for any sweet things. You will not crave for mandazis or biscuits or cakes, because you have seen all the food items that we have added into this soup, and all these items release nutrients into this food. And we can say that this one is a nutrient dense. It's a nutrient dense food. It's a nutrient dense dish. And so it will give someone a satiety. One will be satiated when you eat. Take a bowl of this with the fruits and your favorite beverage in the morning. You will not have any problems until lunchtime, or even until in the later part of the day. The habit with these heavy colloids, the habits with these heavy starches is that when they cool down, they become hardened. They become hardened and stick together, just like in the case of ugari. And so what you do, you just add a little bit more rust water to just loosen it a bit. We allow it to boil, and then we can say that we are done with our soup. Our soup is ready. We just allow that water to heat up again, and our food is ready. Our soup is now ready. I have switched off the burners. I've switched off the burners now, and this is the product that we are aiming at. This is not too thick, not too heavy. You still have a lot of content in your soup. You remember that you have got vegetables, you have roots. We have roots with good colloids. We have got the green bananas. You've got lentils for proteins. You have all your carotenoids in your food. So this is a very good way of enriching your breakfast. Instead of just a cup of tea only, it's good. You have seen that one half a kilo arrowroot is enough to make, with other accompaniments, is able to make all this breakfast for almost, this is enough for 6 people. And what we may realize is that our roots is like a concentrate. A whole big root is a whole concentrate of complex starches that when you cut it into pieces and allow it to cook in water, it kind of breaks down all that storage content, and you are able to use it in a more expanded, more nutritious way. Now my food is ready. I have tasted it. It is very nice. I like the flavors. I like the taste. I like the look of it. And I just love what I can see. We prepare soups almost every other day, and my family has grown to love the soups. Such a bowl of soup is enough for breakfast. It's enough for breakfast. If you want to add, you can add slices of wholemeal slices, or maybe wholemeal chapati if you want to add something more. But in essence, it has enough starches, complex starches, to provide the energy and all other nutrients that you have had us talk about. And the only other thing that you may need to add is your fruit, and the beverage of your choice. That way, you are ready to go. You have no problem with your stomach. The stomach, you will not feel heavy. It is soft on people with a problem with a lot of eating in the morning. This is a very wonderful meal that I have learned to really appreciate. That is enough for breakfast. And this serving is again enough as an appetizer soup. Appetizer soup for your meal, it is enough as an appetizer soup. This soup is delicious, it's lovely, it looks beautiful, it's rich, and you give a person a whole wonderful part of the morning without being worried, without taking strong coffees, strong teas, heavily loaded sugars of energy drinks in the morning or in the morning section, or a lot of mandazis in the morning and donuts. You not need that. And this kind of easy meal will start for you almost a good part of the day. If you are in a meeting, you'll find that you are able to focus and you are not feeling irritated early in the morning, or in the meeting you are not getting irritated. You find that you have got a special peace that comes from a good satiation and a good supply of nutrients. Thank you so much for watching and accompanying me in this exciting activity.